Hi, it's Awaken with Joylyn, and I realized yesterday at church that these churches are going to need to bring in a whole busload of autistic people to help them get the satanic rituals out of their churches. And I'm going to explain why. When I was in Sedona, I got the download. I went up there one day and the downloads were flying in so fast I couldn't even keep up. But one of the main ones was that we have to start teaching in stories like Jesus did, because when you just throw out all the information, people don't understand it, so they don't get it. So everything I do, I try to relate to a story, so it's not to call out or embarrass anyone, but I'm trying to help by telling a story, because that's why Jesus was a storyteller. Nobody paid attention to anything unless he was telling a story or parable or whatever, and they had to kind of decode it and figure it out. And, so that was a big download that I got out there, that we could no longer just throw information out and we had to tell a story. So I'm going to tell you a story because I love to tell stories. Anyway, so Eddie, I was talking about him yesterday. He was not sitting in his right spot at church. So I usually sit by him. So he was down doing the video camera. And so I'm telling you, if he isn't, if I don't directly walk with Jesus when I'm walking with him, he brings me to the people that Jesus wants me to meet, right? So I sit down by this lady, her name's Susan, and I could tell that she was a little quirky, and I'm drawn to those people now right away. I don't repel those people at all, and I never did, but now I'm really intrigued. I'm just like, I want to know that person, So I sat down. She introduced herself as, "Hi, I'm Susan, and I have autism." And I'm like, why would that be the first thing that she would tell me? And I said to her, "You don't have autism." I said, "You have a beautiful gift from God that is amazing, and I'm not sure what he's going to have you do with it, but it's not autism as a negative thing. I said, "You're probably really smart, aren't you?" And she goes, "Well," she said, "yeah, they tell me that I'm like a genius." And I'm like, I can see that in you. I said, "See, this isn't a disease. It's a gift. Like I said, "You probably see things that most people don't see." And she's like, "I do." And you should have seen the look she's given at me. She's like, she goes, I've never had anybody say this kind of stuff to me." And I said, "I'm a nurse, and I said, so I know." And she just looked at me just floored. She goes, "Well, most people just want to be like, I don't want to, when I tell them I have autism, they just don't want to be around me. They just kind of shy away." And she said, "But I'm just who I am. I can't be anybody who God made me to be." And I said, "Exactly. That's who you are. And if people can't love you for who they are, they're missing out." And so this lady just was a light, just beautiful. And, it's just sad to me that society in general has conditioned us to treat people that way, right? So I just, whatever. But as I'm watching her, and she is getting really nervous around this music, and she looks at me and she goes, do they not know this is not good music? This is not. I could see her energy getting really changing as the different songs. Like any song that she didn't feel comfortable around, she almost started shaking a little bit and getting really uncomfortable. And she leaned over at me one time. She goes, "There's bad energy to this. I know the backstory on this. There's not good energy to this music." And I'm just smiling and chuckling inside, because I don't let any of that bother me, even though I can sense the energy to some of those things. I don't always know what it is, but she was really decoding this song. She was breaking down the words. She was going through all the process, and she goes, "I really have to pick a church that has good music, because if there's any bad energy and negativity to it," she goes, "I can't be around it." And I'm thinking, but a lot of the Christian songs actually are manipulated to have some demonic stuff, bad frequencies, words. I'm like that one, I'm not worthy, but then come get prayed for while you're singing "I'm not worthy." No, like I won't do that. So there's a lot of black magic and stuff that they put in this music and stuff, but she was able to pick it out. So anytime there was a good song, like, she was fine. But as soon as there was a bad song, she's just like, I got really nervous. I asked her if she's coming back. She goes, I love their preaching because this church, I have never heard any pastors preach like this. So I love it. Like, I'm drawn to these pastors. They preach the whole, like, how I think they should be preached. I really resonate with them. There's no guilt, shame, or anything. There's so much encouragement. So, I'm pretty critical of churches, so that's saying a lot. I'm watching her do this. So she's decoding the music, right? And then I'm getting a little autistic brain, because that's what they call us. The truthers been call us autists, because what happens when you use more of your brain, you start picking up on the details of everything. I don't even know how any of us can get along, because we're so sensitive to energy anymore. So as I'm, she's sitting here decoding the songs, I'm wondering why in the heck my friend said that you shouldn't raise your hands and worship in a church. And, that's kind of bothered me, because, he's out there to the sun, like, doing all these things. Because I'm sure he knows these are access points to the sun. So I'm thinking, why doesn't he want to say it's good to worship in a church? And I was like, okay, why is that? Or hold your hands up. He said that the other day, and it's really intriguing, because I know he knows things. And sometimes these energy readers, like the lady I had in the energy work I had in Phoenix, she didn't always know. She kept saying the energy, and my brain's like, but why? And she couldn't explain it. And I feel like sometimes they don't know how to explain it. They just feel it. But then my brain comes in and it's like, why? I want to connect that dot with why. There's got to be a reason, So as I'm sitting here watching people hold their hands up to Jesus, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like a download just came in. I'm like, this is the matrixy trap thing that they get us in, right? So Jesus never went into synagogue and said, hey, you Sadducees and Pharisees, could I preach in your building? No, he didn't. He was always out in the open under the sun, because, he knew that was healing, right? The sun is healing. We're taught to think it's, evil. So anyway, but he, that when you need to be out in the sun. So especially when you're praying and all that stuff is very important, because you connect through the ether. So I'm sitting in this church watching it, just looking at the structure, and anybody that's awake enough to know about the black cube. So the black cube is the kind of the control system of the matrix. That's the representation of it, right? So that's why the Jewish leaders and stuff wear the black cube on their head, is kind of mocking us. They know that we're in a black cube, but we don't. So and actually when you unfold a cube, it's a cross. So that's a way of telling us that religion, they have you in a box, right? So they've got you trapped in a box of religion. So I am watching the church, and I'm sorry, it's started. God, I'm going to have to leave that. Or not, maybe I just won't. And anyway, I'm watching everybody worship, holding their hands up with a box covering them, a church, and I'm like, oh, damn, this is the satanic overlay they talk about, because they took what God wanted us to be able to connect with the sun outside in the nature and put us in a box. And so when you raise your hand to these artificial lights that they got, because they all look like dark nightclubs now, right? The churches. So when you're raising, you're actually not connecting with God. You're connecting probably with their satanic overlay, control system of the religion did. So, that's why the old buildings of the churches are, they had the color. Remember, in one of my videos, I talked about chromotherapy, where, that's why they had all the stained glass in those old church buildings, because that's healing. The light came in and it was healing. So, it's not saying that all buildings are bad. Those old ones with the resonance, the organs that heal organs, resonance and all the stuff from those old, like Catholic church buildings and stuff. Those were actually good. And the light coming in through the stained glass windows, that was healing. But when you're in a church building, a box, that's not good. So I'm like, dang, I don't even know if he knows. He probably does, because he knows things. But So when you lay your hands up into the air and you're worshiping, you're under, you're still, God's going to know and God's going to see, but it's just the disconnect that what religion has done for the people. So instead of being outside, getting in the sun, soaking up Jesus, SON, you're doing it to the Lord G God. This is why a lot of these satanic rituals in the churches, we don't know we're even doing them, right? But she was able to decode the music, and I was able to decode the other satanic ritual. And I'm like, dear God, they're going to need to bring in a whole bunch of autistic people to pick out, because it's so intricately wound into the system that they do it so slow that it's really hard to see what little twists and black magic tricks that they do on it. And now that I see the tricks, it doesn't bother me. Like, I know already that there's satanic music. So I just, I tune some stuff out, and I just, once like I said, once you know what these tricks are that the devil or demons do, they don't become tricks anymore. They're just like, yeah, whatever. You give them that middle finger, right? But actually, middle fingers, that's actually good. So they stole our middle finger too. So that's probably another video. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that I feel like the churches are going to need people like my friend Matt Maddox, who has hypersensitive all this stuff, to get the religious satanic matrix overlay control system ritual crap that they're doing in the churches out, because you really do need somebody with a high level of awareness to pick out these things. Otherwise, you're going to keep singing satanic songs. You're going to keep singing doing things with bad energy and bringing in that into your churches, and then you're going to pass that down to your congregation. So I realize that this is, it's going to be hard on people. And I had my friend read my book the other day, and I haven't got the full breakdown from him, but I was just listening to my sister, and she was telling me what he said, and he said, she was so angry in that book. He read my book, and he's like, she needs to get rid of that anger. He doesn't know that I have and that I've healed and whatever. So, but he's telling her that I need to get rid of that anger, because it really comes through in my book how angry I was. And I'm like, good. That means I wrote it really good then, because I was angry. Anger is not even a word that can explain how mad I was. And when I found out I had been lied to, and, he's just telling her she needs to get rid of the anger. And I'm like, oh, and I said, well, how do you think he would have felt? Because he's, he hates religion too. But he loves Jesus and he loves the Bible. But, what if you found out that King James was a homosexual and Freemason or whatever and was doing really bad things, and people are praising the King James Bible. And what if, you realize that all these years you've been doing satanic rituals in your church, and, that they have been getting you to serve a Lord G God, not the actual God, unknowingly, on with some of these rituals. So, what if you found out that half of the stuff in the Bible, not half, but you should just read Jesus's red letters, just saying, but a lot of this stuff, like the fasting, that whole verse was taken out of a lot of the Bibles. The Ethiopian Bible has a lot of, books left in that the King James and all of us American Bibles or whatever versions they only left us with sixes, the 66, 666, which is the number of man, 666, carbon base, we're going to crystalline. So, here's in my brain, catch it. Okay, I got to catch it and bring it back a little bit. But so anyway, hold on. So anyway, what if you realize that in all of these books left out of the Bible, actually had were the ones that gave the how on how to get back to God, the ascension. The other stuff that what was left in and how they presented it to us, through their doctrine, their dogma, whatever, was actually a control system, not to free you. So a lot of these other Bibles they're finding now, like The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of John. I mean, there's Secret Book of John. I think there's so many. Like I was all into that, but I kind of stepped back from that a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of those Bibles that were taken out that actually had the how to send back to God. And so how would you feel if everything you thought about religion was actually to keep you in a box way of thinking? I mean, this friend that I had, like, he hates religion. He hates it. But, if the Bible also is, a way it's presented to us, and stuff's left out or twisted or whatever, like if you found out that was, a lie. And I mean, this is how mad I was at the medical, like during my trigger because of COVID, because I realized that we were being used as nurses to hurt each other. Obviously we did help, but a lot of the stuff that I was teaching, like eating 6 meals a day, then you're supposed to fast because that you're let your body rest to heal. And here I'm telling people to eat all day long, which never brings down your insulin levels. So then you can't even lose weight. So I'm basically helping people get fat. And so, I am just really pissed off in this book because I am really catching on to the fact that we have been hurting people. And so that came through in my book to him. And I'm like, good, because I want people to see how mad I was. I'm mad. I'm mad that we have been trained to hurt each other instead of helping. The people, the dark side, don't have to do it because we're literally doing it for them. They train us how to hurt each other. So I'm just thinking, this is how deep the Stockholm syndrome goes too, because you start defending your captors, so, here, and then he was, she said he didn't think that, Jesus came back to, crush religion. She said he thought it was to come back, die for our sins, and he wasn't a badass. I'm like, oh, you have no idea how badass he was. So, but see, that's left in the other books. They gave us down the watered down version of Jesus through religion. Taught he was all love and light, sissy with sandals here, this. So, then they could tell you, hey, we want you to be like Jesus. You have to be like Jesus. We're going to give you take out all the badassery of the Bible of Jesus, and we're going to give you a watered down version of him, and then we're going to tell you to be like him so they become good little slaves that do what we say and is sit in a box of a church and with the black cube over you and not being able to connect to Son, SON, and then we're going to keep you in this trapped box way of thinking. So I'm sorry if that caused some cognitive dissonance for people. But we all got to go through it. I am just now the last few months coming out of my anger phase because this stuff really hurt me. It really hurt me to realize all this. And we have all been brainwashed, indoctrinated. There's not one of us on this planet. If you come in here and fall in here to, this 3D reality to live this experience, you're going to be manipulated. You're going to be brainwashed. So if you want to get out of the brainwashed and start paying attention and stuff. But like I said, God is putting me on the best journey this last 2 years. And now that I am able to really pay attention and really sit with what he wants me to learn, I just look at that lady and what a beautiful soul. And, to think that we're out here telling everybody you're on the spectrum, you're you this, ADHD. I mean, people might say I'm ADHD too, because like I said, I've got timelines going on in my head, but is it though? If you know how to use it, if you know how to use the gifts that God's given you, is it a disease? I don't think so. I think so. So, God's using you to teach people something. And that lady taught me so much yesterday, so much. And all this stuff came in and I'm like, oh man. So yes, if you're a church out there, you might want to go grab yourself some autistic people to get out your satanic rituals. All right. That's my thoughts for today. Have a wonderful day.